hope you had a good Christmas jumper day yesterday. I'm wearing mine today. I'm sure a number of us are wearing them throughout December. Now, this morning, for my object to bring out of the box, I actually don't have one. So I have had to make one up because what I wanted to get in the box, I haven't had for months. And that is a sorry we missed you card from the Royal Mail or any other delivery people to say that we tried to drop something to your house, but you weren't in. In 2020, I have not had many of these. And I'm quite pleased about that. I mean, not pleased about being in the house all the time, but quite pleased that I haven't missed lots of packages, because often when that happens, I can feel it's going to be quite annoying, particularly if I have been in the back garden and just not heard the doorbell, and then I've missed the postman and have to go and track down my parcel. Now, today we are looking at one of the points in the Gospels where the disciples and the Jews have missed the point of who somebody is. And if you want to read it, it's Matthew 17, verses 10 to 13, so just a small section. And it's at the section which comes at the end of the Transfiguration. So to set the scene for you, Peter, James and John had just come down from the mountain after the Transfiguration. They'd seen Elijah, they'd seen Moses, and they'd seen them talking to Jesus. They had heard the voice of God from heaven say, "This is my son, whom I love. With him I am well pleased. Listen to him." So as they're coming down the mountain after this experience, they're asking Jesus questions, asking him about what they've just seen, quite understandably. There was a common doctrine that was amongst the Jews at the time, which was based on Malachi chapter 4 verse 5, if you wanted to look that up a bit later. And this doctrine was about Elijah, and the idea that they would see Elijah before they saw the Messiah, based on that verse. But the role that Elijah played had already been fulfilled through John the Baptist, who had come to prepare the way for Jesus. Now, earlier in the Gospel of Matthew, in Matthew 11, we see Jesus explaining this, where he testifies about who John the Baptist is and the role that he plays. He says, "For all the prophets and the law prophesied until John. If you are willing to accept it, he is the Elijah who was to come." So that's Matthew 11, verses 13 and 14. And suddenly it's in this place where they're coming down the mountain and Jesus and the disciples are having this conversation, we read that the penny drops here and they realise that Jesus is talking about John the Baptist, who has come to prepare the way. But Jesus makes the point that people didn't recognise who John the Baptist really was. And therefore, as John was a forerunner to Jesus, it means they're kind of also missing the point of who Jesus is as well. Now, we can look in our 2020 eyes back at this situation and think, how could they miss this? How could they miss it? All these hundreds of years of prophecies about the Messiah, about someone coming to prepare the way. How at the time could this not even be on their radar? But yet, so often, it is easy for us to miss what God is doing. Sometimes that's because we don't look. Sometimes that's because we don't stop, we don't think, we don't reflect to think, what is happening? Sometimes it's because we don't actually know what we're looking for, in the same way that maybe a number of them at the time weren't really too sure what this forerunner for Christ would be like. Maybe there's lots about the Bible we don't know, there's lots about our faith that we don't know. Maybe there's things that we're not too sure on. Or maybe you can be a bit like me with the "sorry we missed you" card when I'm in the garden. I'm around all the time, but I haven't quite had a chance just to be in the right place or to stop and to see what is going on. So today, this Advent, and particularly being on a Saturday where a lot of us have a little bit more flex in our day usually, let's take time to reflect, time to ask the question, where is God and what is he doing in my life right now? Today, this week, in this season. What is God doing in the church right now, in the strangest of years that many of us have ever lived through? And let's take a moment to read the Bible, maybe even the passage that I've spoken about today. What can we learn about Jesus? What are the signs that we can learn to recognise when we see how he is working, what he is doing in our world, and how he is working in our lives and our church? Take a moment to reflect. Let's not miss the things that are happening in the world around us and what God is doing through them. Have a great Saturday. See you tomorrow.